Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Geico's been around for more than 75 years, back when they were using Morse code. Sorry, that's just my sense of humor. What's more, with Geico you get 24/7 access to licensed agents on the app, online, or over the phone, so you can talk to them at night or in the morning. So forevermore, just know that no other auto insurer has more than Geico. More power to you. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go, New York, go, New York, go!
Everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, episode 343. I am Jay, and with me is Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing all right. Once again, we have another busy week in Knicks news.
Yeah, we do. We last week was, I guess, about creating the starting lineup, and this week was kind of rounding out the team.
Right. Things are moving quickly. Knicks already have 12 guys on the roster.
And I think when we did the show, like last show, but the show before that, we had like 4 guys on the roster. So
yeah.
it's hard because each year we add 8 to 10 new guys to the roster every season. So, but at least they're doing it faster this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to have to spend the entire summer being like, who should we get?
Yeah, we only spent 2 weeks doing that, and so it makes it not as interesting for the rest of the summer. But I guess we can talk about it. It's nicer to just have everything done. I'm surprised the NBA hasn't figured out a way to really monetize free agency. Like the draft, they make it a big special. They get lots of advertisers. They make a ton of money off of it. But free agency, it's a pretty interesting time, and I guess they got a lot of page views on whether NBA.com or ESPN, whatever site. They get lots of paid views, and there's a lot to like watch, like commentators talking about it. But you think they'd be able to turn this into a bigger event?
Yeah, I guess it's hard because it's so spread out. It takes place at all different times of the day, and I don't know how you would do it.
You can't force guys to only talk certain. It would be great if it was like if they tried this. If it was like everyone goes to one room and goes, okay, free agency, you can't talk to each other at all until right now, and you have 6 hours to find your team.
It's like a big auction house.
Well, I think a big auction house in a league that's mostly African American would not go over well in
PC land.
I think that would stop going over well about 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But maybe just like something where like it would be. That's kind of joking. Like you obviously wouldn't put everyone in the room and say go. But it would be kind of cool if they did like the NFL does Hard Knocks, where they follow NFL teams during preseason. In the same way, it'd be kind of cool if you could follow, like a reality show, follow the big name free agents through all their meetings. Even if they didn't show it right then, even if they showed it, it would be more fun during the actual thing. Like if you want to see Kevin Durant hold court in the Hamptons for the teams, and not know what he's going to do till they announce it as part of his reality show.
LeBron did that, and everyone hated him for years.
Well, that was because LeBron did. It wasn't like he didn't show him meeting with every team. He just did a half-hour special about how amazing he was, and then had a jackass phrase for like leaving Cleveland. It'd be kind of cool if it was NBA sponsored. The whole league is doing it, and they pick like the 10 best free agents or 10 top names in the draft, or pay maybe like 5 big names and some smaller names, and kind of follow them like through their process, what they think is going to be at the beginning, and we could watch it over a week or two, basically maybe a week leading up. I don't know, not the NBA needs more money, but I think it would be really kind of fun to see what kind of presentations are actually done for these big free agents and what their mindset really, like what they actually, or what they kind of, I don't know how real any reality show is, but it'd be kind of fun to see them at least pretending to be real about, like Kevin Durant talking about what the meeting was like with the Who else did he meet with? He met with the Celtics. What he met with the Celtics. Like you could read. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. Have Boz be like, I get lots of money. This is amazing. Only in America.
All right, let's talk some Knicks.
Okay. You know what I've noticed? Have you been listening to a lot of like New York media, like ESPN Radio or anything like that?
No.
So I've been listening to a lot of that. I realized you can also like, besides listening to it live, most of the shows on ESPN Radio, at least, you can download them as podcasts and listen, like whether it be Dave Rothenberg show, Michael Kay. And so I've been listening to a lot of them because I kind of want to hear the Knicks talk. And it seems like every show I listen to, it pretty much goes, oh my God, do you realize what the Knicks are doing? This is amazing. We got all these star players, these big names. This is exactly what Phil is working to. This is so amazing. This season is going to be so exciting. And they're like, oh, yeah. And like, well, I mean, if everyone's healthy, and they go, if everyone's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How's the team going to actually do? What will they actually do? I'm so excited. How will they actually do? I don't know, like 45 wins? I just feel like like everyone's so excited, and like the best case scenario everyone can come up with everyone being healthy is like, I don't know, 45 wins, middle of the pack.
Well, considering the last couple seasons, that's a huge improvement.
It is a huge improvement. It's like a gigantic improvement. And if the improvement was, if you told me the Knicks like had a young core and they were going to go to 40, 45 wins next year, I'd be like ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this team is. I don't know if it's a win now team with a lot of huge upside, hopefully upside gambles, and we're talking about 45 wins.
Well, I mean, the core isn't terribly old either.
No, it's not. I mean, you feel like Derrick Rose should be a lot older than like any other superstar, any other guy who's like with his credentials at 27, you'd be like ecstatic to get, but he's also had all the injuries.
Like Melo's the oldest guy.
Melo's what, 31?
He'll be 32 when the season starts.
He's 32. Noah is 30, 31.
31.
You got Rose who's 27.
Lee's 30 and Porzingis is like 21.
Yeah, I mean the team isn't that old. I don't know. It's just I
mean, it's not bad. And then the bench is even younger.
So here's what I'm worried about. The bench. Are you worried about the bench?
I'm kind of excited about the bench.
I want to try to be as positive as possible. Not as positive as possible. I don't want to be insane, but I want to be not. I think I was maybe a little too negative last week, and we got the players, we got the team. I shouldn't be too negative, but the bench kind of scares me.
Why?
I like what they did with the bench. At the same time, I'm kind of scared. So we got a starting five, and if you look at the starting five, Derrick Rose, even if healthy, he plays maybe 65 to 70 games. He's probably going to have some times where he's sore. He's going to miss some games.
Okay, fair.
Even best case, you're going to play 70 minutes, 70 games. And even with health, they're probably not pushing him to 40 minutes, right? He's probably going to play 30 to 35 minutes a game, you think?
Yeah. I don't think any player should be pushed to 40 minutes, really.
Well, you're not a Knicks fan, obviously. Melo, you're thinking like 35 minutes a game, but he'll miss a couple games. A handful of games this year.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm not like being crazy to say he'll play 75 games, not 82 games. Noah, probably assume he was out most of last year. Let's just say he's healthy, and say he plays close to the maximum, close to 82 games. You still have to think Noah's playing 25 to 30 minutes a game, not really 30 to 35.
If he's healthy, he could probably do 30 to 35.
You think? I would think they would just, even if healthy, they would probably try to get him closer to 30 minutes because they'd be worried about his health.
It depends what his nagging injuries were. Like a shoulder, you could go back to like a normal, normal schedule. Like if his knee's still hurting him, yeah, you want to limit his minutes. But if it's his shoulder, that's probably healed, then he should be fine.
Courtney Lee should be playing big minutes, no question. And Porzingis, you're probably thinking you don't want to burn him out either, but he's probably getting close to 35 minutes.
So basically, everyone's playing 30 to 35 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a good amount of room. So with this roster, there's a good amount of minutes for the bench, and there's a good chance that a lot of guys might miss some games, and so you need a deep bench. bench, and I feel like our bench could not. It's the exact opposite of deep. It's a very hit or miss gamble bench. So you look at it, you got Brandon Jennings, who's coming off a major injury, going to be very questionable.
Yeah, but he's 2 years removed, and usually the second year is when you start looking back like to normal. So he might actually look fine.
Okay, maybe. I think he was first, I think he was a very worthwhile gamble, and a lot of upside. He could be back, and as you said, maybe he gets injured again, or maybe he doesn't. He's not quite as good as he was before. Who's the third point guard?
Justin Holiday? No,
Again,
no.
he's a shooting guard.
Yeah.
You're going to have trouble naming him because he's not on the roster.
Right.
So that's my first concern, is that you have 2 point guards with very recent injury issues. You're a little worried about their health, and you don't have a third point guard.
True.
A little worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
First guy off the so that's the 6th. Number 7th guy off the bench, Lance Thomas. Also injury issues last year, but we're both pretty excited about him, right? Say he's a solid contributor.
Yeah, I mean he had about 2 months last season where we were very excited.
You had to do a whole episode apologizing to him because you were so down on him.
Right. But then I had to do a whole episode taking it back because he did terrible for like a month. So,
I mean, basically, the positive of the guy is he can guard multiple positions and play pretty decent defense.
Yep.
He can shoot the 3 reasonably well.
And he's still only 28.
He's not like a great finisher at the rim, not a great shooter, but he can shoot. He's not a great shooter inside the arc, but he's okay shooter outside the arc. I mean, he was shooting in the mid-30s last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right now you got like decent guys. From there, I don't really know where it goes from there. So this gets into the moves, the acquisitions they have. Well, I guess Kyle O'Quinn. What do you think of Kyle O'Quinn off the bench?
I thought when he was getting decent rotation minutes, he looked all right. But then when he started coming in like 5 or 10 minutes and then not playing for 3 games, I don't know if his confidence got shot or he just needs more time to get into a groove.
Yeah,
but with a consistent role, he looked okay.
He lost his minutes though because he wasn't very good on defense.
That is true.
And so I don't think that's necessarily going to get so much better. I mean, maybe it will. And he wasn't staggering. Like he was very streaky. There were sometimes he looked pretty decent. He hit some shots, and other times he'd be ice cold.
Yep.
He's an okay guy off the bench, but I don't know. And he's our backup center?
No.
Okay. What is he?
Backup power forward.
Okay. But he's not the most agile power forward in the world. But okay. Then we get to the 2 European guys. First guy, I'm gonna give my guy. I've done this before, but I'm gonna try to make a real effort. Hernangomez.
Got it.
Yeah. So what's his first name?
Willie.
No, it's Billy.
It's Billy?
You know it's pronounced Billy?
It's
It's spelled Willie, but apparently it's pronounced Billy.
Well, I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna call him Billy.
I'm not.
Billy. What up, Billy?
You got a W. You got a W. I'm not calling him Billy.
I'm gonna call him Billy. I love that name. I wish the Knicks had more guys named Billy. I don't know. I don't remember the last person. There was Billy Sinclair, who was on the bus with me in 4th grade. We fought every day on the bus in 4th grade, and then he left town, and that's the last Billy I knew. Billy Hernangomez. They one name. Don't drop the Hernangomez. Call him Billy. No one will confuse him with any other Billy.
So what's your opinion on Billy?
Billy. So I love him bringing him over. What I've heard about him, he works well with Porzingis. He could be a solid offensive player. He needs work. He's pretty young. He on defense, not good. He apparently he was exploited majorly in the pick and roll. Apparently he's embarrassing bad. He was really bad in the pick and roll, and not the most amazing defensive player. He needs a lot of work on defense. And last year when we let him go to Europe, apparently his minutes went down in Europe. He switched teams, and the team he went to just gave him less minutes, which may not be his fault, but it was kind of like they said. I guess he went to play for the Real Madrid, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the team he wanted to play for. And that team favors veterans, and so you're a young guy. You may not, even if you're good, you may not get as many minutes. But either way, for development-wise, he was getting more minutes the year before and got less minutes last year. I don't he's a guy that I like having on the team, and for development's sake, I don't know how much he will contribute next year.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, that he's so far really bad on defense, but looks really good on offense. So,
I mean, Porzingis looked a lot better than we expected. He was a lot more advanced than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
And that Spanish league is supposed to be the best one, probably the best league outside of the NBA.
This guy's still only 22.
He's really young, and I feel like in a couple of years he probably could develop to be a very good player. But now we're banking on a guy who's extremely raw and inexperienced.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on him getting a lot of minutes. So maybe O'Quinn will be our backup center.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess Porzingis is going to get some minutes at center also. But it's just like the roster, the bench just starts worrying me here. You also got, next you got, I'm not even going to try, Mindaugas, Kuzminskas.
Sure.
Any close? Can I call him Kuz?
Yeah.
People have been calling him the Mindy Project, what I don't like, but the Kuz sounds good to me.
They're calling him the Mindy Project?
Someone on Twitter was calling him, some reporter was calling him the Mindy Project, and other people adopted it.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. I haven't seen the Mindy Project. Some reason I just assumed it'd be a bad show.
Same.
Have you seen? Yeah, okay. So the Kuz, what I understand about him is that on offense, he shoots behind the arc and shoots at the basket and nowhere in between. That I like.
Mm-hmm.
So either shooting the three or driving to the basket, hardcore, not shooting in between shots, very aggressive guy, but also, they said like he's at least average defender. I like that.
Okay, I'll take it.
What is he, 26, 27?
26.
I just kind of worry about like that. He's I don't know. I worry at that age, he's never played in the NBA. He's a big question mark about how well he'll be in the NBA.
Well, this is what you have to do when you have $0 to spend on players.
No, and I like the move. I like the Billy move. I like the Kuz move. I think they were great ideas looking for talent elsewhere. I know, and Billy was drafted last year. But the European leagues, probably there are a lot of talented players out there that they're not getting the run. I mean, teams are starting to do this a lot more, bring those guys over, and they're not getting the. But it's a great place to go to find talent other people might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but this is also a guy that I feel like the Knicks, because of how not deep their bench is, they're probably going to have to give him a lot of minutes. They're going to count on this guy to like perform next year.
Probably, yes.
And that worries me. And it's not saying that the bench is a disaster or anything like that, but they have, just like the starting lineup about health, there's a lot of questions on the bench about like, you have a lot of guys that don't have a lot of experience. Then you got Justin Holiday, who's a bench player the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be a decent defender, decent shooter. I have no idea. Will he be good?
Who knows?
It's a big who knows, but maybe okay. And supposedly, like, he was a guy who wasn't a throw into the trade. Like, Phil scouted him and wanted him, so could be decent. They have fully signed Marshall Plumlee, who looked bad in summer league,
mm-hmm.
but he has two brothers in the NBA, so probably not being really good. So I don't know if you're going to get much from I don't know if Marshall Plumlee is actually going to make the roster, but he's got a partial guarantee.
Yeah, we might not be seeing him.
And then the other two guys that are most promising from summer, and last show I was calling the summer league an embarrassment. Since then, the Knicks got a lot more competitive in summer league, and this guy Chasen Randall started playing, who looked pretty good. Have you following that at all? The summer league,
a little bit.
Jason,
I know Randall and Baker are the two guys people are excited about.
Yeah, so I would really hope the Knicks bring those guys to camp and see what they get a better sense of them.
I'm sure they will.
I just think so. Going based on this roster, and I know they have to add guys anyway. I would like to see at least one veteran, get some other veteran on one veteran not named Sasha.
What about Jared Sullinger?
I've heard a rumor, but is he going to take the league minimum to play for the Knicks?
That was a question from Strive on Twitter. Well,
I would like Jared. I would be very happy if they got Jared Sullinger.
I don't know if he would. Maybe he would take it depends. Most teams are out of money right now, so maybe he does.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think is he takes a 1-year deal with the Knicks based on the fact that a lot of teams are out of money and he thinks he can find minutes in the Knicks.
Right. He probably would get a lot of minutes.
Yeah, so that would be a pretty solid pickup, I feel like.
And then, yeah, he's probably hoping to have a really good year and then cash in next season.
Other than that, I wouldn't mind the Knicks finding a veteran point guard. I mean, even a guy that's not like necessarily great, but a guy maybe these like just one other guy that can guide the offense.
Calderon?
Have the Lakers dropped him yet?
No, that happened since last show. We traded Calderon to the Bulls, and the Bulls moved him immediately.
But apparently, which I didn't realize, was the Bulls also traded some draft picks to get rid of him. They traded 2 second round draft picks to get rid of Calderon. So I didn't. At first, I was like, "Wait, we've been trying to trade him for the last year, and the Bulls got rid of him in like a half a second, they're like Houdini."
Right.
But apparently, they traded some picks with him, so it wasn't as ridiculous. But we have a roster, so there's a lot of upside in the roster.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least there is guys that the Knicks picked. They haven't been in the NBA before, so they're kind of like our guys. So it's like those are the type of guys that are fun to root for.
Yeah, they have some guys to develop, but the bench is very much like a fun to root for bench.
Like if Hernangomez suddenly figures out defense, like we're gonna love the hell out of that guy.
If Kuz can contribute right away, we'll love the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm.
If Lance Thomas keeps getting better, we'll be very happy.
If Sasha comes back, we're not going to be happy.
Yeah. So what's your take on Sasha coming back?
If
he comes back, he's not gonna get a lot of minutes.
Yes, he will.
Why will he get a lot of minutes?
Because our guard situation is not good.
Precarious?
Yeah. I mean, we have Lee and I guess Holiday, even though he's listed as a small forward. And then you have Rose and Jennings. I mean, Sasha could be starting 10 games in for all we know.
So here's some things people have said about Sasha. They say, well, he knows the triangle really well, and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that important?
I think it's important, but you also have to be good at basketball.
I feel like the whole knowing the triangle thing is overrated. And even Phil must think that's overrated because he's rewriting the roster every year. If you want guys that really know the triangle, have some consistency, keep some guys on the roster longer. And I know this. I mean, you would have kept Galloway. Galloway's been playing in the system for 2 years. You would think that would be a guy to keep if you really cared about knowing the triangle was so important. Or I don't know. They lost Galloway. What's your thought on losing Galloway? Is that a huge deal?
I would have liked to have seen him stay. I mean, we obviously. The money he got, we wouldn't have been able to afford that.
Yeah, he got a lot of money. Good for him. I mean, everyone's. It must feel really bad if you're not getting a lot of money this year. You're a free agent. You're like, wait, no $6 million for me?
Like Roy Hibbert, only getting $5.
Oh, Hibbert, but he's gotten some big money before.
Yeah.
I'm not loving losing Galloway, but I don't think we're going to be like, oh man, we lost Galloway.
Well, we will be if Sasha ends up starting.
That is true. It's not confirmed that he's back yet. It's just the Knicks are talking about him. I just think he's terrible on defense. Just terrible on defense. I know he gives a lot of effort, but his efforts usually it looks like Sasha's giving a lot of effort because he's usually chasing the guy he was supposed to be covering.
Yeah, I mean he gives effort. Yeah, but I mean. If I was on the team, I would give effort and I would learn the triangle. You wouldn't want me on the team.
What was your reaction to people saying, well, he shot a whole lot better, and this is true, a whole lot better second half of the year, especially the last month or two of the year, his stats went up a lot.
I don't care.
You're not going to take facts? I mean, that would say basically
so
he was out of the league for a while. It took him a while to really get into the rhythm of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he finally got in the rhythm, he played kind of decently.
Yeah, but he still sucked on defense.
He's still pretty bad on defense. He hit some shots, and I remember there was one game where he hit a couple threes, but then when things counted, he was just rushing some threes like he thought he was Steph Curry and almost lost the game for us.
Yeah.
it's not the biggest of deals if they get him back, as long as he's not playing a lot. And if he's playing a lot, that means we're probably getting a high draft pick.
True. Yeah, if he's playing a lot, that means our starting lineup got decimated.
I mean, this team could go very much like you could win 40 games, but the team's a little bit better than last year. The team could be really surprised. Courtney Lee, I heard him on the radio saying how he thought the Knicks would get to 50 wins this year. And you can see this roster, like, if everyone plays their potential, and you have guys like Derrick Rose who are, like, getting close to where he was, the team could be very good.
Mm-hmm.
Or everyone could be injured, and this team could easily win 20 games, and we can get a high pick.
I know. This team could go anywhere.
It's so impossible to say. And, I mean, you also have the problem also with the team is that it's going to take a little while for everyone to get chemistry. And, I mean, the nice thing is Noah and Rose will have chemistry from day one. And you think Melo and Porzingis, it's just like it's the whole getting to know each other again part is always it makes it a little harder coming out the gate.
Yeah.
And I feel like with this team, every win's going to be very important.
I was looking at Real GM, and they have the depth chart.
Yeah.
And they say there's nobody behind Porzingis. They actually put a blank space and then Plumlee under the blank space.
Well, Plumlee's can't be your backup center.
At power forward.
Power forward, or whatever. Yeah, you can't be your backup. The guy hasn't played in the NBA, and he didn't even look that good in summer league.
Right.
Just because his name is Plumlee, like unless you think just the last name, that's all that matters. So let me ask you some questions here. I got some questions that are going around from listening to a lot of ESPN radio last week.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question: and this generally, I guess, does Melo get enough credit
for what?
They didn't really like. Does Melo get generally enough credit, and maybe enough credit into helping put this team together?
This year's team?
So it's like twofold. Does he generally get enough credit, and then does he generally get enough credit for what he's brought to the Knicks? With this, does he get enough credit for helping bring this team together?
The team that just got brought together.
Yeah, they were saying this on the radio, and they were like, "Well, listen, This is what they honestly said was they were like, Rose would never have come here if not for Melo being here, and then Noah would never come here either if Melo wasn't here." And the guy, someone called in and was like, "Well, didn't Noah say he came here because Rose was here? Wasn't Rose traded here?"
That's what I was just about to say.
And they were like, well, I mean, the Bulls would never have traded him to the Knicks unless Melo was here because they were not going to let Rose go to a bad situation.
That's such crap.
I mean, that's complete crap. I mean, if the Bulls cared about Rose, they would just kept him.
Yeah, no, that's dumb.
I mean, you worry. I guess the Bulls, they said they got rid of Rose because they were worried he'd leave. Do you think that's really it?
No.
Why do you think they got rid of him?
I think they had a power struggle with Rose and Butler. Butler's obviously the leader of that team now, and they couldn't keep him together.
Yeah. And Noah, I feel like they just said, hey, he was no longer starting for us. Why should we even fight to keep him?
Well, yeah. I mean, if the Knicks are going to offer $18 million a year, you're not going to pay that to a backup.
They're like, wow, I can't imagine how much the Knicks would have paid for Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
That being said, I got healthy. If Noah had not been injured, like you free agency offer 2 years ago, what he was doing 2 years ago, he probably would have gotten a max deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, anyways, do you think he gets? Generally, do people give him too much crap? Forget building the team together. But do people give him too much crap, or do Knicks fans not appreciate Melo enough?
Does it have to be one or the other? I think it's an appropriate amount of crap.
Well, in his defense, he's put up very good numbers the whole time he's here.
Yep.
People keep giving him crap. Generally, there's a lot of crap he's giving to him because he's not LeBron. And he's not LeBron, and like he's not gonna you can't just give him crap because he's an imperfect superstar.
Right. No, I don't. I don't knock him for that. I knock him for other things like playing injured just so you can make it to the All-Star game or.
But did that really hurt? Did that really hurt anyone though? I mean, the team still got a very high draft pick, and they weren't going to win any games. They won. I think they won literally the same amount of games with him as they without him.
Isn't that the season where one less win we would have had Towns?
I think it was like 2 less, but yeah, I mean, that's true. But I mean, they won, but they were terrible with him and terrible without him. I mean, I don't think necessarily. I think they won 6 games with him, so it wasn't like he was really getting them so many victories.
Yeah, I don't know, and then just other things like, forcing the trade and then saying he's going to take a discount. And
oh, by the way, so I figured out the NBA record that will. Beyond Wilt's like 100 points in a game,
yeah.
I'll give you the NBA record that will never be broken.
What's that?
How many years has Melo been here?
5?
5? Just count up how many players that he's played with since he's been here, including this year's roster, and no other player will ever come close to that in a 5-year period.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, and also in a 5-year period,
staying on the same team.
Like, yeah, on the same team, 4 different GMs, like 4 different like coaches, or 5 different whatever. So in his defense, like he's been kind of like he's not put in a good situation to win.
No, he's not. That's why that's the other part of it. I said a couple things that he might it might be reasonable to give him crap for, but on the other hand, he's had a terrible roster. And
I mean, you want to give him crap for like the trade. He couldn't, by NBA rules, tell the Knicks he'd come there anyway. So the Knicks, it was kind of the Knicks' fault for trading for him. It's not his fault for not like breaking NBA rules and telling them that he would sign anyway.
Well, he could have just become a free agent.
Well, he couldn't have come just a free agent. The Knicks traded him before he became free agent.
Because he said he demanded a trade.
Right, but I mean, yes, he could have not demanded a trade. The other thing in the Knicks is because the Knicks had cleared all that cap space in the first place, trying to get LeBron, and they got Amari. They had some young players, but they could have had, if they'd just been developing a team all along, they could have had more players to like the trade and still bring Melo over without being a disaster. Like in the sense of like the Celtics traded all their players to get Garnett and Ray Allen, and they still had Rondo there. They could have had at least one like star player to bring like that Melo would. Well, I guess they had Amari, but like they could have had one like homegrown player or one young guy to go with him, or another young guy. They could have had more of a roster to bring Melo to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want to rehash all the mistakes the Knicks made, but yeah, they've done pretty much nothing right since Melo got here. And
does Melo get any? Does he get any credit for being loyal to the Knicks? Like, if you look at it, his salary, what he's getting right now, looks like a pretty reasonable salary. He could have taken like a 2-year opt out and asked for try to get more money.
Right.
Or he could have done like a Durant and try to go to what like he could sign up with Cleveland so he can get a title.
That is true. I mean, he genuinely seems to like the Knicks.
And he wants to play in New York. Should he get more credit for that?
No.
Okay. The next question was, did the Knicks owe it to Melo to win now?
They owe it to everyone. They owe it to fans. I mean, they've made so many mistakes. They should just like have a weekly apology press conference.
I disagree with this. I think the Knicks owe it. They owe it to the fans. The fans are where their loyalty should be, and they owe it to the fans to build a contender. They shouldn't build a contender any faster or slower because they should be on some player's timeline.
Right.
If the Knicks really think this is the best way to contend for a title, that's great. But I don't know if they really think this is the best way to contend for a title.
Right. Yeah. They shouldn't worry about Melo's timeline. It should be, are we going to win a championship going down this path? And if that works out with Melo's timeline, that's awesome.
Like if they think like, oh, our best chance to win is trying to win a title when Melo's here, fair, totally fair. But I don't know if that's really the case. I think maybe building, especially because you have Porzingis, building a team that's going to complement Porzingis in the long run might be the more logical thing to do.
I think they just need to gather up assets like teams that end up being good usually do.
Yeah.
Like, what assets do we have? We have this year's draft pick and Porzingis. End of list.
Well, that goes to the question people also said is, should the Knicks try to trade for Westbrook? Good chance Oklahoma will accept a good trade for Westbrook because Westbrook said, I'm out of here. And Oklahoma's not winning a title this year. Mm-hmm. So the trade that's been proposed is not actually proposed, but like hypothetical in the media is Westbrook for Porzingis and Rose. And I asked this on Facebook, and most people said no.
Yeah, I would say no too.
I just don't think and I mean the argument that like you don't know if Porzingis is going to be as good as Westbrook. That's no question about that. But I don't think I would do this trade. Why would you not do it?
Because then you're putting yourself in. Now you're definitely going in win now mode.
But you already have Melo in win now mode, and you think if you're and you have Noah signed, who's in win now mode also. So what do you like better? You like Melo, Noah, and Westbrook, or not? I guess.
I don't know. I would be just the idea of giving up yet another draft pick just sickens me.
Also, a guy that looks like he could be this good.
Yeah, I would be so worried that you do that trade and then Porzingis just ends up stomping the league.
I mean, look what we had. We had Ewing, who was great. The Knicks had a decade of 50-plus wins, 2 final appearances, like deep in the playoffs every year because they had Ewing. Like everything else, they built around him, but he was the cornerstone. You could have if Porzingis could be that kind of cornerstone, we'll have an entertaining decade. With him.
And honestly, they did not put much around Ewing, and he still did that.
Yeah, it wasn't like they had
got Houston and Sprewell and all those guys. Like when you think about it, like none of those guys are really tearing up the league elsewhere.
Well, Sprewell was tearing up coaches' necks. So
right.
And that was also late. That was the better teams they put. They put the better guys around him. Before it was John Starks out of the CBA.
Mm-hmm. Oakley
turned out to be really good, but he was also not like he wasn't like an amazing. It wasn't like an amazing coup getting him from like Chicago.
Right.
You put some pretty good guys. Like you didn't put like an amazing team around him.
I mean, he never had a great point guard.
You put a well-coached team and a defense-first team around him.
I mean, you could say Mark Jackson, but like we traded him like before his rookie contract was up, pretty much.
Yeah, Jackson was good. He wasn't amazing though either, but he was good.
Yeah, but like, it was all downhill from there.
You think like Porzingis, you assume they'll resign him. I mean, not that the Knicks ever resign their draft picks, but you feel like he's going to hopefully be a Knick for the next decade.
This will be, I'm going to call it now, this will be the first rookie since Charlie Ward that the Knicks signed past the rookie contract.
And if he's not, we're going to just quit the show.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think like, unless you really think, if you think Westbrook comes here and we win the title, it might be worth it. But unless you think you're going to actually win the title, I don't want to give up what I think Porzingis is going to be.
Right. I mean, would you even think that team would win the title?
Well, let's assume Noah, it goes back to where he was. And we don't even know that. So you're going to make the trade. You probably make the trade middle of the year. You would know at least something about how good Noah is.
Yeah.
They contend in the East. It'd be a solid team, but I don't know how much better they are. The team is still like lacks a lot of depth. We still have the same bench issue.
Right. I meyou think that puts them from like a 6th seed to like a 4th seed.
I mean, Westbrook's really good.
He is.
I mean, if you had Westbrook, I think they're top 3, maybe.
Maybe, but I mean, do you really like mortgage your future to be a top 3 team?
No, you mortgage your future because you think you're going to actually win a title.
Yeah.
Like if you told me like Cleveland decided for some reason Cleveland and LeBron suddenly hated each other and LeBron was going to be traded here and the offer was, I don't know, Porzingis and who else would be paired with him?
Rose?
Sure, Porzingis and Rose. Would you do that?
That's happening this season?
Yeah. Really have to hesitate on this? I think I would take the next 3 years of LeBron or next 4 years of LeBron over. I think that would because I would like we really have a shot of winning it.
No, I know. You would have to do that.
Yeah, I would take one title. They could if they win one title and they suck for the decade after, I'd be happy.
That would be maybe the only guy I'd be willing to trade Porzingis for, though.
Well, I mean, like, what about Steph Curry? Forget Steph. We did this before.
Yeah. There's not many players.
Okay, there's not many players.
Let's say there's maybe like 5 or 6 players in the league.
Okay, so I did the Knicks not having a draft pick this past season mean they could not rebuild? That rebuilding was a bad option. Because I asked this because a lot of people said when I asked about rebuilding, they said like, well, at least on Facebook, they said, well, the Knicks couldn't rebuild because they didn't have a draft pick this past season.
You mean they couldn't do the rebuild like the last couple of years because this?
No, they just said like going forward, like it wasn't worth trying to rebuild this year. Like it was better off going all in because they didn't have the draft pick.
Well, you can get a draft pick if you do a rebuild.
Yeah, you could have tried to move Melo to get draft picks, and you still could have gone for rebuilding. It didn't mean. I thought it was a weird argument people were making that because they didn't have it this past year.
Yeah, you trade your guys and you get the draft pick, and then you rebuild.
Yeah, and you know what? If the team's really bad this year, you'd get another good draft pick, and you have your draft picks going forward. You could build a core. I mean, you still could bring the guys from Europe over. You could have you could trade Melo, have a young core that's not going to be very good, but it's going to get better.
Right.
Okay.
And I know people are saying Melo has a no trade clause. We know that. But if you say, Melo, we're going full tank mode, do you still want to stay? I guarantee he says no.
Do these moves benefit Porzingis?
Yes. Yes.
The Knicks said, like Mills, I think, said, we're doing all these moves in like because we think this will all work out for Porzingis.
Yeah, I think they all do.
Why?
You have a guy who can pass, 2 guys who can pass in Noah and Rose. You have another defensive center, so you don't have to put all the defensive pressure on Porzingis. And you got a 3-point shooter in Lee to spread the floor.
Do you think it does it benefit Porzingis more for you to start building a team faster, going with like trying to get high draft picks and get like another star around him that's going to grow with him, or is it benefit to go? Does he benefit from going to win right now, meaning worse draft picks, and a team that can like I don't know. I'm like I feel like if you're thinking that Porzingis is going to be really good in 5 years, we're working towards where he's going to be in 5 years. Mm-hmm. Then maybe going to win now mode is not like the best idea in the world.
Might not be, but I mean, getting, even if we turn into like a first round out team, getting a little bit of playoff experience can never hurt.
Yeah, and you see all those guys that go to Timberwolves on bad teams, and they don't seem like the team doesn't seem to get better because they don't get a winning culture. Also.
Right. You could have a couple bad seasons, but once you have like 4 or 5 in a row, like it wears on the players and. You know, things just start spiraling. Look at the Sacramento.
Also, the question was they were talking about this is a little bit off that topic, but they were talking about Kevin Durant coming here, and the argument was, and they always make this argument: winning in New York is like winning nowhere else. If you win in New York, you're treated like a god versus anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So that being said, Patrick Ewing brought a ton of success to New York. And the Knicks won't give him a job.
Didn't win.
He got them to the finals twice.
Didn't win.
I mean, the second time he didn't actually. I feel like he did so much that the team should like treat him like a god.
Yes, he should be treated like royalty by the Knicks. The way he gets treated by the Knicks is disgusting. But Ewing also gets a lot more crap than he deserves.
He got kicked out of here before he was even done. He was close to being done at that point, but they traded him.
That cursed our team.
I feel like that cursed our team, and if you're Kevin Durant and someone makes the argument to you, well, you know what? Winning in New York is greater than winning anywhere else. He goes, yeah, you know, Patrick Ewing was really amazing here. You treat him like shit. I don't want to go to the Knicks.
Right.
I think that's a strong argument about for like to not go to the
Knicks. If you win, you get treated like a god. If you only make it to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you are a piece of shit.
If you get the teams at the playoffs every year, 50-plus wins every year, you fight the great Bulls every year, we don't even like want to know you.
Right.
Maybe you could buy an upper deck ticket. Like, just please. If you're gonna come here and be an assistant coach on another team, just try to like don't even look at the camera. We hate you. What else did I want?
You're right. We are gonna have a long show.
Yeah, those are most of my questions. So let's talk about what else? Anything else you want to talk about related to the Knicks?
No. Because
I think-
anything else we'll cover in the questions.
Yeah, I think we pretty much that's true. Free agency. Question for you: Is Pat Riley the coldest son of a bitch you've ever in the NBA?
I thought the whole Wade thing, I thought he was just posturing. I really did not honestly believe he was seriously considering going somewhere else.
Well, you don't hold this against Wade. Do you think this is Wade's fault he left, or do you think it's Pat Riley's fault he left?
I don't know. I mean, if what I hear is Wade was demanding at least 20, if not 25 million a year.
Yeah, the most popular player in the histories of the franchise, the guy who brought Pat Riley did not bring Bosh and LeBron there. Wade brought Bosh and LeBron there.
Right.
He's got you 3 titles. 1 title prior to that. He's Dwayne Wade. He did not even look to leave at any point. He could have assembled his great team somewhere else. He gave you the tip. He basically gave you the tip to empty your roster because LeBron and Bosh are coming here. He's asking for 25. You're offering 20, and you don't meet him at 25.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Dallas even gave Dirk, and I'm sorry we messed up free agency the last 3 years contract this year.
How much did he get?
2 years, 20 million each.
Yeah, he deserved that.
Yeah. He took 8 last year so they could get all these free agents, and they got Pachulia.
Yeah. Who I wouldn't mind on the Knicks, but
oh no, I mean for 2.6 million, that's the steal of the entire free agency right there.
That could definitely be the steal of the draft. But I feel like Pat Riley said, I want to rebuild. If Bosh is not going to be healthy, and I don't think Bosh is going to be healthy, then we're better off. I think if Bosh is healthy and they have Wade last year, they compete with they put up a pretty good fight against Cleveland.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But Bosh.
Yeah, if Bosh is done, they've lost Wade, Bosh, Joe Johnson, and Dang in the offseason. That's crazy.
But they kept they matched what's his name to the Nets. The crazy the Tyler Johnson contract, which I thought was crazy, has now been matched by Miami. But I think Pat Riley just said, hey, I want to rebuild. Having Wade here doesn't make any sense anymore. I can't not offer him a contract. I can't let him walk, but I can make it appear in the media that he left. I give him an offer he has to refuse.
Do you know what also doesn't make sense?
What?
Signing Wade for $25 million when he plays the same position as Butler.
Well, that's the Bulls. Let's get to the Bulls in a second. Let's just stay on Miami for a second. Do you think this is smart for Pat Riley to do this?
Not from a PR standpoint, but from a basketball standpoint, probably.
Yeah, I think from a basketball standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. But from PR, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I feel like the Lakers did it the way you're supposed to do it with Kobe. You got one of the greatest players in your team history. Just pay him a boatload, have the team suck, get some draft picks, and then rebuild after. And you can sell some tickets while he's there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what. And not that Miami had some young players, but they wouldn't have been really bad with Wade next year. And they still would have had a very good team.
No,
I don't see why
they still got the Dragon. They got Whiteside.
Yeah, I don't know why you do this. Just because you're not going to use that $25 million any better. Except to sign Tyler Johnson now.
Maybe he thinks Wade's just about done.
Yeah, I just still think it's pretty cold for the greatest player in your franchise history. Is there a better player in their franchise history?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, you could say Alonzo's pretty good. You can't really give it to LeBron. He wasn't there that long. I mean, Wade's been there longer. He's got 3 titles. Best player in your history, in your franchise history, and you're get out.
Yeah.
What are the Knicks better than Miami now? They got Whiteside. They got Winslow. What else they got? Got Tyler Johnson.
They have.
They got Dragic.
Yeah, that's a nice young core. Knicks
a nice young core. I mean,
Knicks might be better this season, but Miami definitely has a better future. I don't know. I guess
Miami actually doesn't have that many draft picks.
I guess it depends if Bosh is back or not.
I don't think Bosh is back. I feel like they would have resigned Wade if they thought Bosh is coming back. It's a weird argument also, like, Bosh is like, hey, because I think Bosh wants to come back, and he's telling them, like, I've seen some doctors say that I can come back.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're like, yeah, we don't want you to drop dead on the court because we feel like that's bad for PR. So could you just leave us the hell alone and leave the NBA already?
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking at their roster. I would say the Knicks are better.
Bulls. Are the Knicks better than the Bulls?
No.
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 Really? You got Butler and you got Butler Wade. You got Rondo.
You got Miratek, Robin Lopez, Gibson.
They're deeper.
Portis, McDermott, Snell.
The Bulls are still pretty deep.
Yeah.
What else happened in free agency?
They have they're like 9 deep. It's not.
Yeah. That's the thing that I would like. If you're going to be really in win now mode, I wish the Knicks were just a deeper team.
Mm-hmm.
And right now you have a team that's not very. I mean, you'll see. Maybe the European guys will play really well and contribute much faster. But right now, it does not look like a very deep roster.
Right.
Getting a guy like Jared Sullinger would be huge. Or just anyone who's like significant. One more player would be very huge off this bench. Do you try to bring back Derek Williams now? I haven't heard anyone offering him a contract. He hasn't been like mentioned in the media.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him back, I guess. I'd still rather another guard, not named Sasha. Well, anything else happened in free agency that we need to talk about?
No, I think that was the main point.
Okay, you want to go to questions?
Sure. Gucci, this is Twitter, at NY Knicks Podcast. Gucci writes, what do you think about this? And it's Melo's quote about how the system's broken. He's talking about the shootings. How 11 cops got shot. He made some very strong statements about that. I don't know if you read them.
No, I didn't read them. Do you want to read them to me, or
it's a long statement.
Okay. What was the summary? People shooting people because they're of a color is bad.
We have to put pressure on the people in charge in order to get this thing we call justice right. A march doesn't work. We tried that. I've tried that. Blah blah blah.
There's a great. The Onion had a great headline. It was something like I think it was Congress, or it was the Congress of the American people. I think it was like Congress is Congress is at a loss to figure out how to solve this gun problem outside of the most obvious reason. It was like stating it wrong. It was the American people are at a complete loss of what to deal about all this gun violence, except for the most obvious reason, obvious ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not making up. I'm making it very funny as I'm trying to remember it. But that's more of a Brink or a different show topic. But I would say probably whatever Melo said, he's probably right.
Gucci writes, do you think...
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think system is broken and does need change. And I don't think changing your Facebook profile picture or putting stuff on social media works at all.
What if you pray?
Yeah, probably doesn't work. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people prayed between the shootings.
What if you get rid of the guns?
Can't do that.
Okay, next.
What do you think Ron Baker will be a great fit for us?
Young guy, supposed to be able to shoot, has some potential. Wasn't drafted? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, let's fill up the whole bench with guys that could work out. Why not?
Well, this guy's have the least experienced bench in the NBA.
It's fine. They're gonna get experience really quickly.
They're gonna get applied. I think he should definitely go to camp. Same with that other guy from summer league. Bring him to camp. If they look good, put him on the roster. Try to find a vet for this roster. If you can't, put the young guys on there.
Yep. Okay. Email nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. I may mispronounce your name, so sorry in advance.
I never say I'm sorry.
Michaela wrote, native New Yorker in Palm Springs, holding down my squad amongst these bandwagoner Lakers fans, and I took to you guys for inspiration. Leave it to good old Debbie Downer to ruin my high. You couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't let us feel good for 72 hours. Damn it. the title of this email is "Damn You, Mark." P.S. That Derrick Rose impression really was terrible.
Okay. I mean, the thing with this roster is, like, if you look at it on the face of it, the team should be better than last year. Rose is a significant upgrade over Calderon. I mean, the roster is a significant upgrade over last year.
There you go. There's your positivity.
Just it's a very
Don't
much.
ruin it. Don't ruin it.
Okay. I'm not gonna go. I'm done. I'm gonna try to be more positive because all the moves are already made. So what are you gonna do?
Do we want to do our read our iTunes reviews?
1 star. I hate your show. Do you have them up? If you have them up, you can read them.
I will have them up in a second. We got kind of shredded, so if you guys like the show, putting some positive ones up would be a good time for it, I would say.
Yeah. We've got a couple really bad ones recently. Probably all linked to the Derrick Rose.
I get it. We did a little bit too much with the Derrick Rose thing, but we stopped. So you can stop with the negative reviews now.
I think it was just a bit that we were doing for a while, and some people, and we had some hardcore fans who really liked it. I don't know if anyone else really liked it.
So that's what it's hard to
seems,
judge because we would get like 5 or 6 messages saying that's funny, and nobody ever told us it was bad, and then all of a sudden we got all these messages saying it was terrible.
It was also that it was very funny because I started doing this stupid review, the stupid impression for him, and then he ended up a Nick.
Right. So iTunes is going really slow. There we go. So we got 3 reviews. We promised to read them all. So
okay. We'll read good ones too. So if you want to put some good ones on there,
yeah, please. Enz wrote, "I want to love this podcast. I really do, but there are so many moments where these guys make me thankful the 15-second skip ahead function that I couldn't give it 5-star review. The hosts are Knicks fans, but they're not crazy, irrational, impatient stereotype of a Knicks fan that the media often perpetuates as being a Knicks fan. The analysis of play, signings, trades, etc. are all fair and well-informed. A slight irritant is the voice of one of the co-hosts. It's very nasally and lispy."
Me. Also, just in fairness, when I hear my own voice when I'm not doing the Derrick Rose thing, I want to kill myself. Anytime Jay even plays like audio that we're recording and I hear my voice, I think of like, I should do it, but I have kids, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take my own life. But I kind of want to do it when I hear my voice. Go on.
This is really long, so I'll just skip ahead a little bit. The bits aren't funny. He doesn't like the phone calls. It's just not good. He said he respects the effort, but it doesn't work. During the bit, the host with the already annoying voice gets even more annoying. Blah, blah. He goes off on your annoying voice for another 3 or 4 sentences. And then he ends with, "I stay subscribed because it's hard to get any Knicks analysis that isn't simply regurgitation of the criticisms against the Knicks when Isaiah was in charge, but far too often I find myself skipping ahead 15 seconds, hoping to get past the attempt at a skit and back to the Knicks." So if you notice, we've cut down on the bits. Cut down 100%, actually, the last couple episodes. So hopefully you like the show better. Let's see. We got another one. "Joke of a sports podcast, 1 star. As a Knicks fan, I decided to check out this podcast in hopes to listen to a conversation for better or worse about the Knicks, but ended up wasting my time hearing 2 unfunny dull guys attempted humor by lowbrow jokes and a weird voice impersonations."
I do like the lowbrow jokes, but go on.
Yeah, the lowbrow jokes probably aren't going to stop, but
that's who we are.
Yeah. And then another 1 star, 76ers of Knicks podcast. All the two guys do is rip on the team, do bad impersonations, and they have the sense of humor of 2 13-year-old junior high boys having no understanding of why the team makes the choices they do and often have their facts wrong. So this one is the one I have a problem with because this guy seems mad that we don't like the choices the team made, which is an opinion, and that's not really a review of a podcast. This is like the kind of person that reviews like a Netflix movie with 1 star because the disc came scratched in the mail. They just don't understand.
That always drives me crazy when people do that.
Yes, I when I see that like on Amazon, like I ordered Blu-ray and it came regular DVD, 1 star, and I always comment back like that is not a review of the movie. You should be banned from review.
I always look at the reviews like I'm going to buy something new, some kind of product, And I always go right to the 1 or 2 star reviews. I'm curious about the negatives.
Yeah, same here.
And you go to there, and it's like, mine came broken. Then they fixed it, and you're like, that's not a review.
That's not a review.
I mean, I guess you put that up there so that the company will respond because they're not responding otherwise. But it's just like, but they also have then they fixed it or something like that, or it came broken.
I ordered
feel
2-day shipping, and it came in 3 days, 1 star.
You might disagree. Like, we're passionate Knicks fans. You're passionate Knicks fans. We just disagree with we may disagree with some of the moves they made. Maybe you think they're amazing moves, and maybe I don't know. I don't completely understand everything that Phil is doing. It seems like he's rewriting the roster every year. It doesn't seem like he has an overall plan.
And
But whatever, we have a
the
decent
team.
roster this year, and it's going to be hopefully a better season. So we'll see what happens. And he got Porzingis. So
I mean, we want the team to be good. We wouldn't have done 300 and God knows how many episodes of this show if we didn't like the Knicks. It's just we are not confident that these moves will work out. And if they do, that's awesome, and we'll be happy.
I find frustrating is the team doesn't. I think there's a Phil on Friday, this past Friday, they did a whole press conference where they introduced all the players, and Phil said he had tried things. Like he had tried going young. I wish we had the audio. We don't have the audio. He was saying we tried going young, and I was like, you didn't really try going young. You drafted 2 players. You drafted a couple players. You got rid of them all immediately if they weren't.
Right.
If you didn't think they were good right away, and did give them a lot of them playing time.
And you stashed 2 over in Europe that haven't even played yet.
Yeah, you didn't really try going young. And trying going young takes more than 1 year. You didn't really try to build a team. I mean, you said, hey, we're going to try to build a team. Going gets tough. Let's just try to do a quick fix.
Right.
And you could say you thought getting Rose was a tremendous opportunity. And that's kind of what he thought it was, an opportunity. And maybe it is. But I kind of think the Knicks have done this a lot. Since 2000, basically, or 2001, the Knicks have just keep going. We're going to try to rebuild. Oh, shiny name. And we go for the shiny name, and it doesn't seem to work out. So I wish the Knicks would stop doing this.
And you know what? If you disagree, that's why we have emails and Twitter and voicemail. There's a million different ways you could reach us. Well, 4 different ways you could reach us.
You could also, a million. Well, a million minus 4. Yeah. I wish I guess we'll see, and we'll see what. I just think we have a great guy to build around Porzingis, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, whatever. We have an interesting team.
So before we get to the Facebook questions, we're nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Twitter is nyknickspodcasts. So is Instagram. We have a website, thenewyorknickspodcast.com. And if you don't totally hate us, you could buy shirts on there. Or actually, if you hate us, buy shirts and burn them in effigy. That's fine, as long as you pay for the shirts.
Oh, there's one other point I want to make. So we have a big Toronto Raptors fan who follows our show, who made a point. He's also apparently a big trust the process Philly fan. And this is not the ripping. He made a good point at one point talking about the Embiid draft pick. Mm-hmm. He said, even though they knew he was injured, they felt like if he wasn't injured, he'd been number 1 pick. And he would have been, you take the gamble because in this league, to really win it, you need a star player. Because basically teams, pretty much only teams with star players win the title.
Yep.
And if you look at the teams that even you just can't really compete without a star player. So you need to get one of those star players. You need a top 5 guy. And they went to tanking to get that guy. But they also said, with a guy like Embiid, if he turns out healthy, he could be a star player. So let's roll the dice on this guy. So there's 3 ways to get that kind of player. You draft him, you sign the guy through free agency, or the Moneyball way, you find one that used to be like that, and he's undervalued because of injury, and he's going to get back there.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, maybe the Knicks, this is the Knicks, this is the new Moneyball. Eventually there'll be a book about the Knicks moves where they go, yeah, so we were looking for guys who were stars who got injured, who we knew, because we have these amazing doctors, that they would get better and everything would be great. Well, I mean, you look at Rose. Rose is a superstar level guy you could win a title with. You would think, if he had stayed healthy, the Bulls would have seriously contended for a title and seriously would have competed with LeBron. So maybe he just thinks this is the opportunity of to get one of these guys. He thinks he's going to get back there. This is the dice you got to roll if you really want to win a title in the NBA.
Right.
I don't know. You think that's
I think it's a good explanation of what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to questions. Just Dumb writes, how mad would you be if the Knicks traded the unicorn, WHG, Sealy, and 2 draft picks for Russell Westbrook and Magic Beans?
Very angry. Well, no, I mean, if we got Westbrook, I couldn't be too angry, but I would still be angry that we traded Porzingis.
So this trade does not involve trading Rose. You're going to pair Rose and Westbrook together and have 2 point guards that won't pass the ball?
Right. Yeah. Okay, that would make me very angry.
Yeah. And someone wrote, where is this coming from? And I just curious, did you make it up or is it real? Because it doesn't make any sense. Rose would definitely be involved. And the guy responded, he's completely made up, basically. Mm-hmm. I would hate this. I also just don't want it. The one thing I have to give it for Phil's credit, I mean, there's a lot of things you can give Phil credit for, but one thing I have to give Phil a lot of credit for is no draft picks have been traded for any of his moves.
Right.
It's almost like they just like have a no draft pick trade.
I think they
now.
do, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I would say some of the moves he's made up to this point, you could say maybe James Dolan would make similar moves, but the difference would be we'd have no draft picks going forward.
Exactly.
Anthony writes, I know it's so early, but I don't. And I also, that's the thing about the season. If the season's a total disaster, we still have a draft pick. And if he's wildly, and if Phil's correct and these moves are wildly successful, great also. Mm-hmm. The only way we really lose is if we win 38 games, then I feel like we lose.
Yeah.
Anthony writes, I know it's so early, but don't think it's over. Can you guys do a ranking of what you think the East standings will finish at next year, starting from 1 to 8th seed? I think we could do this.
Sure.
Let me pull up the rankings from last year. You have it up already?
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yeah. I mean, one's obviously the Cavs.
You think? Yeah, I go with them. I feel like you could also just say, if you want to just get it out there, from this year till LeBron retires, I'm going to go with the Cavs being the 1 seed.
Right.
Number 2.
I'm going Pacers.
So what did the Pacers do that everyone's so excited about? Let's just talk about this briefly. They got Jeff Teague.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is a upgrade over Hill.
Yeah, I think it's an upgrade. It's not like you just got like it's not a like Hill sucked. Now we got an all-star. Like Teague's borderline all-star, and Hill wasn't bad. What else did they do?
They got Al Jefferson, which is an upgrade over Mahimni.
Can't play defense, but yeah. And he's also like more of a ball kind of holding center.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Paul George is going to be one more year removed from an injury. Paul George is really good.
Right. So they have a starting lineup of Teagues, Ellis, George.
Miles Turner should get better. Miles Turner looks like he looks like he could be borderline all-star.
Yeah, Turner and Jefferson is probably their starting lineup.
So why are they number 2? Like, why they like? What makes you forget the Knicks?
They got Thaddeus Young as well.
It's good. I mean, do these moves really make them like better than Toronto?
I think it does.
Okay.
I put Toronto at 3. I mean, it's not like I'm saying they're way better. It's a virtual tie for me, but I would say Pacers 2, Raptors 3.
And the Raptors lost Biyombo, right?
Yeah.
Who did they pick up anyone else? No free agents go to Toronto.
Right.
They re-signed DeRozan. Celtics are going to be pretty good, I feel like, getting Horford.
Yeah, they're my 4.
Would you rather be the Knicks or the Celtics?
The Celtics, they have so many draft picks. They still are looting the Nets.
They seem this is like the way I feel like this is how you're supposed to be rebuild with free agents. They don't necessarily have to score Durant, but like you build a core and then add a guy like Horford.
Right.
I like where they're going so much better than where the Knicks are going. I would say number 2, I can still put the Raptors. I think the Raptors are still pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
3, I can take the argument for the Pacers being 3.
Okay.
4, who do you say 3? You said you have the Raptors. You have the Raptors at 3?
Yeah.
Okay. 4, I'm going to take the Celtics.
Yeah, that's who I have it for.
5, I'm going to put the Knicks.
Yep.
Cool. 6, I'm going to take the Bulls.
I forgot about the Bulls.
It's still like a very competitive. Like no one's the thing is, no one's beating LeBron, but still a very competitive conference now.
I might put Bulls 5, Knicks 6.
Okay. Why don't you put forget it. I'm doing the Knicks number 1. Knicks are winning the title. That's what I should predict every year because who's going to hate me on that prediction? I put the so I have the what I have the Bulls 5.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Knicks 6. I'll take number 6. I will take or I had the Knicks 5 and the Bulls 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. Number 7, I will take. I'm going to say the Hawks. Actually, 7. Yeah, the Hawks, I guess.
Yeah. Yep, agree.
And then the 8, the Wizards.
I'm going Pistons.
Okay, I'm not that in love with the Pistons. Wizards, I feel like I still think what's his name is still so good that I feel like they should be able to make the playoffs at least.
I don't know. They don't have a lot past their backcourt.
I mean, they have a hell of a backcourt.
Yeah.
I mean, if healthy, playing the if healthy game, Wall is a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm.
Beal, hell of a player, and if healthy again. From there, the team kind of falls off a little bit, but I feel like that backcourt alone should really win a lot of games for you. You still got Gortat, who's pretty good. You got one of the Morris twins.
Great. Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be a tough though. I mean, the Heat are still pretty good. I mean, they're not as good, but they're still pretty good. You obviously got the Pistons that you mentioned before. You got a lot of pretty good teams there. And Charlotte also is still pretty good, though I think Charlotte's going to be worse without Lynn.
All right, lightning round.
Okay, we're almost done. We didn't have the main question, so. Paul writes, Tokoto, yay or nay? He's good for a guy who can't shoot. At 6'6", a bigger guard or a small forward.
I don't want anybody who can't shoot anymore.
Who's Tokoto?
I think he's on the summer league team.
Oh, well, you know what? If he hasn't stood out already, then I don't give a shit about him. Chris writes, I want the Knicks to get McLemore from the Kings. What do you think? Sure.
2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, he looked so bad the last year or two.
I mean, I still would take a flyer on him, but how are the Knicks getting him?
I don't think anybody else is offering him anything.
Oh, okay.
You could probably get him for cheap. If you could get him for cheap, why not? Take a chance on him.
Should the entire roster be guys that were good 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Greg writes, can you guys do a debate as to whose free agency was worse, LeBron's or Durant's? We talked about this last show.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I still think LeBron's was.
Really? I think LeBron's, the way LeBron announced his decision was 10 times worse, but the way I think Durant's actual move is worse.
Oh. Yeah.
Someone called up the radio and had a good theory on Durant. And the theory was he's had those foot surgeries. Durant knows that his career is going to dwindle fast, and he feels like he probably can't carry a team anymore. So he'd rather be on a team where basically he doesn't have to work as hard to get to the title faster because he feels like his career, like his days are numbered.
It's possible, but I don't know. He looked totally fine.
Yeah, he looked totally fine. It was just it's an interesting theory in the sense of like why you make this. I mean, he didn't like playing with Westbrook. I understand.
Right. I think it's more that, and I wouldn't say so much that he knows he can't do it. More like I could extend my career if I only have to play 30 minutes a game.
Or I don't necessarily need to be the number one guy anymore.
Right.
Here's so the Olympics. We created the Dream Team, and the Dream Team crushed everyone in 92. And we keep doing this Dream Team thing in the Olympics. And I'm sure you go there and go, hey, it's so much fun playing with a roster this talented. Wouldn't it be cool if I could just do this all the time? Mm-hmm. And he's like, Golden State basically offered him the chance to play with the Dream Team.
Right.
In the NBA. And we do it as a country. We don't have no issue with it. Why should we have an issue with a player doing it, saying, I want to play with the Dream Team in the NBA? It's going to be who wouldn't want to play with a team this stellar?
Yeah, I mean, you can't hate him too much for like they offered him a lot of money and it was a good situation.
I mean, any other player in the NBA, like pretty much outside of like 5 players in the NBA, anyone else going there, you would say that sucks that he went there, but I can't fault the guy for wanting to win. Assuming the guy was getting paid,
right?
I mean, like you said, LeBron went there, you'd be like, what the hell? But it's what really sucks about it is their closest competitor has been eliminated because you went there.
That is true. I mean, it's also I said this before. It's also the whole owner thing. The owner doesn't do what's best for the team sometimes, and I could see that getting him losing trust in.
Don't you put up with a bad owner more so for the fans? Shouldn't you have more loyalty to the fans? They've kind of given up. If I understand if you're not getting paid, totally understand that. Like that's a reason to leave, or if the owner's really screwing you. But your big thing is the owner's being a little cheap on stuff. But like you could have won the title this year if you played a little better.
He was there for 9 years.
He was injured for one of the years, and this year you were up 3-1 in Golden State. You should have beaten Golden State and gone to the finals. And you went to the finals once before already.
Yeah.
Ownership didn't really screw you so much. Your team overall, like, whatever you want to say about the Harden trade, like, Harden probably wasn't staying there that much longer. And the team that you have now is maybe better than that team.
Right. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Greg writes, Jay, are you willing to trade Kristaps for Westbrook? We covered that already. Greg, you guys have an exclusive video interview from D Rose on their practice.
No,
Greg,
sorry,
Greg. Being one of the bigger fans for D Rose. I'm sorry, Greg. I just too much hate mail for that. Q writes, which Knicks free agents are you most upset about not getting to resign? You think maybe Greg just really like thinks it's so bad that he thinks it's funny that how bad that we keep doing it? Maybe he's been trolling us all this time.
Maybe he wants us to get negative reviews. I don't know.
I gotta think he's been genuine about it.
Yeah,
Q writes,
he wouldn't ask literally every week if he didn't like it.
I'm gonna find this podcast and I'm just gonna find the things they do the worst and just like continually tell them to keep doing the worst things possible. Q writes, which Knicks free agents are you most upset about not getting to resign? Gallo? ? Why can't we have 2 Derek on the team?
Would it be anybody? I mean, it looks like Early's gone.
Where'd Early go?
No, nowhere yet, but it looks like the Knicks aren't going to take him.
I was hoping he'd work out. I was hoping they'd give him a chance also.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think they should still try to resign him?
The Knicks released him, and now he's a free agent. So there's no reason to do that if they had any intention of keeping him.
Clearly, they're not bringing him back. Or maybe the only thing I could say is maybe like they can get him back on a better deal. They're probably not bringing him back.
Better deal. He was a 2nd-round pick. Like, I mean, he was pretty much a free player.
They're probably not bringing him back, and I maybe you have to think that like they've seen it. I know he was injured part of his first year, and he was shot last year, literally. But maybe they just haven't been very impressed by what they've seen.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be so. I can't be that upset. I just wish he like. They got so excited about when they drafted him. I wish he'd worked out better. Remember, they were like, he was draft 39th, but he could have been a top 10 pick, really.
Yeah. So if we're just talking about free agents, I would say Galloway.
Yeah, I'd say Galloway. And is there any reason we can't bring Derek back? If he'll sign a league minimum deal, sure. I don't think they have Knicks have much money left.
Right. I mean, it's not like we had a killer's row of free agents that left.
No. I mean, Flalo, I'm glad is gone. Derek Williams would still be fun. A good guy to have off the. The only thing I think about Derek Williams is I feel like he needs more minutes to play to like be good. I think in limited 10-minute spurts, he's going to be bad.
He also needs to not be horrendous on defense.
That too. I'd rather them get. That's the other thing with. I just rather if you're going to fill extra guys on the bench, I'd rather have guys that can play there are really good in defense and not that great on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Because I feel like you could always leave Porzingis out there with some good defenders and like have Porzingis be your scoring option or whoever or Brandon Jennings be your. But like you leave out. I don't know, guys that can't. I really get frustrated with guys that can't play defense.
Right. I mean, with Melo, Rose, Jennings, Porzingis, like you got enough firepower. You need defense now.
Yeah, you're not, and just like you're gonna run some of those guys out there with like the bench players. So, Paul writes, what level of superstar will Cleanthony Early be this year?
Guaranteed all-star now that he's off the Knicks. Either that or he'll be completely out of the NBA and his career's over. There's no in between.
Yeah. I know you hate when we talk about baseball, but the Mets, I don't know how you don't follow it that closely, but the Mets let this guy, Daniel Murphy, walk last year. They were like, this past year, they were like, we don't need you on the team anymore. Your defense actually was pretty bad. He went from being a pretty good hitter. He is now, so far this year, he's the best hitter in baseball. And that's the kind of Mets thing that would happen. Like, you're like, oh, we don't need you anymore. He's destroying the league. Guillermo writes, what is the best offer you would do for Westbrook?
Best offer.
I can tell you before you would want to go first, or
It would have to include Rose because you wouldn't want both of them on the team.
right. I mean, that's clear. There's nothing else you can trade.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to say, like, unless you're going to include Porzingis, they're not going to do the trade. Because they can get someone else. And it's either Porzingis or draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't do Rose straight up, so it would have to be Rose, and obviously they try to get Porzingis. We would say no.
And they say Rose, 2 first-round draft picks. You going to do 2 first-round draft picks?
No, I wouldn't do 2.
Well, they're probably going to ask for 2. Or a first-round draft pick. What's his name? Billy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would move Billy, but I just don't think you're going to get. I feel like they're going to get a better offer elsewhere.
Yeah.
I just don't think without Porzingis, the offer is not going to be good enough. Here's my best offer for Westbrook is we will give you all the money the NBA lets us give you when you're a free agent.
Right. Exactly.
I'm just not trading a midseason for the guy. Gillum writes, how many minutes do you expect each player to play per game? We kind of went over that already. Gillum writes, do you think now the Knicks are more of an offensive or a defensive team?
Offensive.
Well, you got Noah, who's could be a very strong defensive player. You got Courtney Lee, who's a solid defensive player. Porzingis is not a bad defensive player.
Yeah, it's like half and half, really.
Kind
Melo's
of
like
balanced.
middle of the road on defense, and then Rose is bad, and then a lot of our bench players are bad on defense.
I would take Mill if you told me the Knicks were going to be like number 10 in offense and 10 in defense, it'd be a pretty decent improvement over how they've been lately. So
yeah, that's true.
I want it balanced. So Gillum writes, Ron Baker, do you want him to make the team? I feel he's a poor man's Klay Thompson in the making. Very good defender, very good 3-point shooter, great IQ, only lacks explosiveness and size.
I would take a shot on him.
He shot 40% in summer league.
Yeah.
No, I mean they shot 40% from the field. That's not exactly good.
Oh, I thought you meant from 3. I was like, yeah, that's good.
He shot 37%. So basically, he had 2 awful shooting games, and the next 2 games are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Or next 3 games are pretty good. I say invite him to camp and see what you think in camp.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anyone he would be a guy that you should. He seems like a guy you should get and stick him in the D League and get him developed. But I don't know. Same with that other guy though. Seems like he's pretty good also. The guy at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that we can do multiple episodes in a row without any bits.
Well, in fairness, it's about to get really boring in the summer, so we might have to do bits. We learned that we can do a sort of negative, sort of positive show.
I think it was reasonable. I think we learned we can do a reasonable amount, a good balance between positive and negative.
I just don't want to sound like the guys on like ESPN radio who just sound like they're insane. They're just over the top excited for the team and just like pretending things. They're like this Derrick Rose move. It's amazing. He is an elite player. And then they're like, oh yeah, I mean like he hasn't like he's coming off injury and he may not be very good this year, but he's an elite player. And you're like, you just said he may not be that good this year. Well, yeah, but he's an elite player.
Well, I mean, also, wouldn't the show get boring if we were just like, we got Derrick Rose, and that's awesome. And we got Noah, and that's awesome. And everything's awesome. And everything the Knicks do is awesome.
If you listen back to the episode
30 wins.
when Jeremy Lin first emerged on the scene, that was the entire episode. We were like, oh my God, it's awesome. We have Jeremy Lin. This is awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he got injured like 2 weeks later.
It was a nice run with Lin. I would have loved Lin on this team.
Yeah. That is like the actual backup point guard we really need.
I feel like that was also like if you say like we were curse of Ewing, I feel like there's a curse of Jeremy Lin. He was like you found, and not that he's been that amazing, but he looked pretty good last year on Charlotte. He'd be a great back guy to have off the bench. And it was just like we found this guy who like it was you weren't developing players. You found this great guy, and then like you're like, we let him go.
Yeah, we're always like, why can't we be the team that finds that random guy out of nowhere?
And we were. We found the random guy. And if you want to give him Melo for anything, Melo kind of helped drive him out. And like Melo didn't go to management and go, hey, you finally got a point guard. You better make sure he stays.
Right.
Instead, he said, wow, a lot of money for a guy like Jeremy Lin, huh? I don't know. What else we learned? We learned that if Sasha plays a lot of minutes, then that's great because we're getting a high draft pick.
That is true.
We learned that what do we disagree about this episode?
We learned that some people leave reviews even though they don't know what a review is.
We learned that Jay's angry about that.
I wasn't angry about the other 1-star review because it was like it made valid points. I get pissed when it's not a review.
What do you think is better? Okay, so this team on paper right now versus the 54-win team. It's the last competitive team we've had.
I think on paper this team's better. On paper, the 54-win team made no sense.
I mean, they won 54 games, though.
But on paper, that team made no sense.
Let's look at the team. So you got Noah versus Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler was the defensive player of the year that year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's look at the actual performance of this. You can't look at that necessarily on paper for that team because that team actually performed. Like, Noah probably won't be the defensive player of the year this year, even though he previously was. Probably Tyson Chandler is better. That Tyson Chandler is better than this Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Though this Noah is a better passer, probably. That Melo is probably better than this Melo because he was a couple of years younger.
Yeah.
Point guard, we had Jason Kidd.
He was about 40.
And Felton, right?
Yeah. I would go probably on paper, Rose. I mean, you got to go like before the season. Like,
Well, you're going to go. I feel like I'm going to go what we don't know about on paper this team versus that team on the actual performance.
Oh, okay.
Well, how do you go on paper because you already know what that team actually did.
Yeah, but before the season, our expectations for that team
weren't. Yeah, I mean, we didn't think they would be as good as they were. Obviously, they came together. That team gelled.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing because we're like, oh, we got 5 guys between 38 and 40. This should be ridiculous.
I mean, on paper, you'd give Rasheed Wallace more credit, and Rasheed Wallace. I mean, people talk about Rasheed Wallace. He played 10 games that year.
Yeah.
But Kenyon Martin came on huge for that team.
Yes.
You forget about Kenyon Martin's contribution. I feel like in some ways Noah could be that Kenyon Martin player because Martin was basically he really get the defensive going because he was really he got the team in line. He was a better passer than anyone realized. He was like a spark plug. And Noah could be that kind of player this year.
We just got a Twitter question. Jason writes, "Can you see the Knicks beating the Pacers, Celtics, Raptors, Hawks, or Pistons come playoffs, assuming teams stay the same?"
Hawks and Pistons, yes.
Yeah, I agree. Hawks and Pistons.
I mean, forget the comparison of the 54 win. It's just so hard to know with this team what they're going to actually be. The one thing that team, the 54 win team, did though was they shot a lot of 3-pointers and hit a lot of 3-pointers, and this team is probably not doing that.
True.
So we're not living and dying by the 3, but I don't know. Well, who we got on the 3-point shooters? Melo's going to shoot some 3s. Porzingis is going to shoot some 3s. Corey Lee is shooting some 3s. Anyone else? And Lance Thomas is going to shoot some 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably it. And that guy Kuz might be able to shoot some 3s.
All right. Thanks for listening,
cool.
everybody.
Yeah.
We will be back next week, probably. And leave a positive iTunes review. We could use one. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go.
This is the end.
Say goodbye. You better go away.
I'm gonna leave you.
It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.
Feels so good to say goodbye.
I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl.
Goodbye, 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 everybody.
Hi, this is Maury Moreland Morrison, here to tell you Geico has more than just great savings. Much more. Yes, while Geico could help you rack up more moolah faster than you can say metamorphosis, they've also been the fastest growing auto insurer for more than 10 years. That's more like it. Furthermore, Geico has fast and friendly claim service. That might seem like an oxymoron, but it's not. All the more reason to say no other auto insurer has more than Geico. Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.